SOR Losers by AV, illustrated by Aaron Jasinski. Everybody plays, everybody wins. Most everyone at South Orange River School takes this motto seriously. However, Ed Citro and a small group of non-jocks prefer to avoid sports altogether. The school has organized a special soccer team just for them, and their first 5 games have been embarrassing losses. The boys' coach, Mr. Lester, and the school counselor, Mr. Tillman, try everything to motivate the team. The school has even held a pep rally to pump up the boys for their last game. Ed, the team's captain, decides it's time to call a secret meeting. Like thieves, we met behind the school, out of sight. I looked around. I could see everybody was feeling rotten. "I'm sick and tired of people telling me we have to win," said Root. "I think my folks are getting ready to disown me," says Hayes. "My brother and sister, too." "Why can't they just let us lose?" asked Mocked. "Yeah," said Barish, "because we're not going to win." "We might," Lifsome offered. "Parkville is supposed to be the pits, too." "Yeah," said Radish, "but we're beneath the pits." "Right," agreed Porter. For a moment, it looked like everyone was going to start to cry. "I'd just like to do my math," said Mocked. "I like that." There it was. Something clicked. "Hayes," I said, "you're good at music, right?" "Yeah, well, sure, rock and roll." "Okay, and Mocked, what's the lowest score you've pulled in math so far?" "A plus." "Last year?" "Same." "Lifsome," I went on, getting excited. "How's your painting coming?" "I just finished something real neat, and—" "That's it," I cut in, because that kid can go on forever about his painting. "Every one of us is good at something, right? Maybe more than one thing. The point is, other things." "Sure," said Barish. "Except," put in Salt, "sports." We were quiet for a moment. Then I saw what had been coming to me. That's their problem. I mean, we are good at a lot of things. Why can't we just plain stink in some places? That's got to be normal. "Let's hear it for normal," chanted Dorman. "Doesn't bother me to lose at sports," I said. "At least, it didn't bother me until I let other people make me bothered." "What about the school record?" asked Porter. "You know, no team ever losing for a whole season. Want to be famous for that?" "Listen," I said. "Did we want to be on this team?" "No," they all shouted. "I can see some of it," I said. "You know, doing something different. But I don't like sports. I'm not good at it. I don't enjoy it. So I say, so what? I mean, if Salt's here, writes a stinko poem, and he does all the time, do they yell at him? When was the last time Mr. Tillman came around and said, 'Salts, I believe in your being a poet'?" "Never," said Salts. "Yeah," said Radish. "How come sports is so important?" "You know," said Dorman, "maybe a loser makes people think of things they lost. Like Mr. Tillman not getting into pro football. Us losing makes him remember that." "Us winning, he forgets," cut in Eliscu. "Right," I agreed. "He needs us to win for him, not for us. Maybe it's the same for others." "Yeah, but how are you going to convince them of that?" said Barish. "By not caring if we lose," I said. "Only one thing," put in Salt. "They say this Parkville team is pretty bad, too. What happens if we, by mistake, win?" That set us back for a moment. "I think," suggested Hayes after a moment, "that if we just go on, out there, relax, do our best, and not worry so much, we'll lose." There was general agreement on that point. "Do you know what I heard?" said Eliscu. "What?" "I didn't want to say it before, but since the game's a home game, they're talking about letting the whole school out to cheer us on to win." "You're kidding." He shook his head. There was a long, deep silence. "Probably think," said Salts, "that would be a shame to lose in front of everybody." I took a quick count. "You afraid to lose?" I asked Salts. "No way." "Hayes?" "Nope." "Porter?" "Nope." And so on. I felt encouraged. It was a complete vote of no confidence. "Well," I said, "they just might see us lose again. With Parkville so bad, I'm not saying it's automatic, but I'm not going to care if we do." Right, said Radish. It's not like we're committing treason or something. People have a right to be losers. We considered that for a moment. It was then I had my most brilliant idea. Who has money? For what? I'm your tall captain, right? Trust me, and bring your soccer t-shirts to me in the morning, early. I collected about $4 and we split up. I held Salts back. What's the money all about? He wanted to know. And the t-shirts. Come on, I told him. Maybe we can show them we really mean it. When I woke the next morning, I have to admit, I was excited. It wasn't going to be an ordinary day. I looked outside and saw the sun was shining. I thought, good. For the first time, I wanted a game to happen. I got to breakfast a little early, actually feeling happy. Today's the day, Dad announced. Right. Today you'll really win, chipped in my ma. Could be. My father leaned across the table and gave me a tap. Winning the last game is what matters. Go out with your head held high, Ed. Am I backside up if I lose? I wanted to know. Ed, said my ma, don't be so hard on yourself. Your father and I are coming to watch. Suit yourselves, I said, and beat it to the bus. As soon as I got to class, Salts and I collected the t-shirts. What are you going to do with them? The others kept asking. You picked me as captain, didn't you? Mr. Lester did. Well, this time, trust me. When we got all the t-shirts together, Salts and I sneaked into the home ec room and did what needed to be done. Putting them into a bag so no one else would see, we went to class. Just about over, I said. I'm almost sorry, confessed Salts. Me too, I said, and I can't figure out why. Maybe it's the team that loses together really stays together. Right, not one fathead on the whole team. Do you think we should have gotten a farewell present for Mr. Lester? Like what? A baking cup. It was hard enough getting through the day, and it's impossible to know how many people wished me luck. From all I got, it was very clear they considered me the unluckiest guy in the whole world. I kept wishing I could have banked it for something important, but the day got done. It was down in the locker room when we got ready that I passed out the t-shirts. Barish held his up. It was the regular shirt with SOR on the back, but under it, Salts and I had ironed on press letters. Now they all read SOR Losers. Barish's reaction was just to stare. That was my only nervous moment. Then he cracked up, laughing like crazy, and the rest, once they saw, joined in. When Mr. Lester came down, he brought Mr. Tillman. We all stood up and turned our backs to them. Oh my goodness, moaned Mr. Lester. That's sick, said Mr. Tillman. Sick. His happy beads shook furiously. It's honest, I said. It's defeatist, he yelled. Mr. Tillman, I asked, is that true about your trying out for pro football? He started to say something, then stopped, his mouth open. Yeah, I tried to make it with the pros, but I couldn't. So you lost too, right? Yeah, chimed in Radish. Everyone loses sometime. Listen here, you guys, said Mr. Tillman. It's no fun being rejected. Can't it be okay to lose sometimes? You did. Lots do. And you're still alive, and we don't dislike you because of that. Right, we got other reasons, I heard a voice say. I think it was Salts. Mr. Tillman started to say something, but turned and fled. Mr. Lester tried to give us a few final pointers, like, don't touch the ball with your hands, only use feet, things that we didn't always remember to do. Well, he said finally, I enjoyed this. You did? Said Porter, surprised. Well, not much, he admitted. I never coached anything before. To tell you the truth, I don't know a thing about soccer. Now you tell us, said Eliscu, but he was kidding. We sort of guessed that before. Just as we started out onto the field, Salts whispered to me, what if we win? With our luck, we will, I said, and on we went. As we ran onto the field, we were met with something like a roar. Maybe the whole school wasn't there, but a lot were, and they were chanting, win, win, win. But when they saw the backs of our shirts, they really went wild. Crazy. and you couldn't tell if they were there for us or against us. I mean, scary. Oh, yes, the game. We had been told that Parkville was a team that hadn't won a game either. They looked it. From the way they kicked the ball around, tried to kick the ball around, it was clear this was going to be a true contest between horribles. The big difference was their faces, stiff and tight. You could see they wanted to win, had to win. We were relaxed and fooling around, having a grand old time. Not them. The ref blew his whistle and called for captains. I went out, shook hands. The Parkville guy was really tense. He kept squeezing his hands, rubbing his face, the whole bit. The ref said he wanted the usual, a clean, hard game, and he told us which side we should defend. May the best team win, he said. A believer. Anyway, we started. I know the way this is supposed to work. There we are, relaxed, having a good time, not caring really what goes on, maybe by this time, not even sweating the outcome. That should make us, in television land, winners, especially as it becomes very clear that Parkville is frantic about winning, like crazy. They have a coach who screams himself red-faced all the time. Who knows, maybe he's going to lose his job if they lose. Well, a lot of things happened that game. There was the moment, just like the first game, when their side, dressed in stunning scarlet, came plunging down our way. Mighty Salts went out to meet them like a battleship. True to form, red-faced and wild, he gave a mighty kick and missed. But he added something new. Leave it to my buddy Salts. He swung so hard he sat down on the ball, like he was hatching an egg. We broke up that. So did everyone else, except the Parkville coach. He was screaming, "Penalty, penalty!" So they got the ball. And it's true, I was laughing so much they scored an easy goal. It was worth it. "Least you could have done is hatched it," I yelled at Salts. "I think they allow only 11 on a team," he yelled back. Then there was the moment when Porter, Radish, and Dorman got into a really terrific struggle to get the ball from each other. Only when they looked up did they realize with whom they were struggling. By that time, of course, it was too late. Stolen ball. There was the moment when Parkville knocked the ball out of bounds. Macht had to throw it in. He snatched up the ball, held it over his head, got ready to heave it, then dropped it. It was a close game, though. The closest. By the time it was almost over, they were leading by only one. We were actually in the game. And how did the crowd react? They didn't really know what to do. Sometimes they laughed, sometimes they chanted that win-win thing, and it was like a party for them. Then it happened. Macht took the ball on a pass from Lifsum. Lifsum dribbled down the right side and flipped it toward the middle. Hayes got it fairly well and, still driving, shot a pass back to Radish, who somehow managed to snap it over easy to Porter, who was right near the side of the goal. Porter, not able to shoot, knocked the ball back to Hayes, who charged toward the goal. Only some Parkville guy managed to get in the way. Hayes, screaming, ran right over to him, still controlling the ball. I stood there astonished. "They've gotten to him," I said to myself. "He's flipped." I mean, Hayes was like a wild man. Not only had he had the cleanest shot in the universe, he was desperate. And so he tripped, fell flat on his face. Thunk. Their goalie scooped up the ball, flung it downfield, and that was the end of that. As for Hayes, he picked himself up slowly, too slowly. The crowd grew still. You could see it all over Hayes. Shame. The crowd waited. They were feeling sorry for him. You could feel it, and standing there in the middle of the field, everything had just stopped. Everybody was watching. Hayes, the poor guy, began to cry. That's all you could hear, his sobs. He had failed. Then I remembered. "SOR loser, sore loser," I bellowed. At my yell, our team snapped up their heads and looked around. "Sore loser," I bellowed again.